The Buffalo Sabres' fourth line has found some life. That and more coming up.
Welcome, everyone. This holiday season, Nickel City Mafia is honored to be partnered with the Punt Foundation based out of Buffalo, New York, whose mission is to provide financial and emotional support to families facing a pediatric cancer diagnosis. This is the second year in a row that Nickel City Mafia will be adopting a family for the holidays to provide additional assistance to them. The money for the family will help pay their mortgage and other things as they fight for their child's life. This year, we will be helping a single mom with 2 children. Cardell is all boy. He loves cars, trucks, dirt bikes, superheroes, sports, and the Buffalo Bills. He's the sweetest big brother and loves his little sister. In early October, Cardell was diagnosed with a stage 4 diffuse midline glioma, which is a very aggressive tumor that begins in the brain or spinal cord. In the words of his mom, Kirsten, "I am not taken. There's not much more we can do if the radiation doesn't work," as an answer. We are currently finishing radiation and working to obtain second opinions as far as treatment from St. Jude's, Mayo Clinic, a Philadelphia pediatric oncology hospital, and more. Please keep us in your continued prayers as we navigate to find the best possible care for Cardell. From all of us here at Nickel City Mafia, we ask that you please help this beautiful family in need. Donate using the link down below in the description of this show and share it with friends, family, co-workers, and social media platforms. Thank you all from the bottom of our hearts.
And yep, as you saw there, we're still doing our fundraiser. Obviously, we know that not everyone is able to give, but if you are, any amount helps. We're trying to reach our $5,000 goal. And welcome to the show, Timmy. I wasn't sure you were going to be here when that ended, but I'm Sammy Saucy Mitts, and this is my co-host, Top Shelf Timmy Corks.
Yes.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's been a while. How you feeling? I know last week you're a little bit down on the weather, but I'm glad we got a show this week. How you feeling?
Yeah, you might still hear it in my voice a little bit. I just came down with a cold. The weather's been changing, so not ideal. Had to miss a show, but we're here now, and it's honestly that doing a show last week probably would have been pretty tough. Although maybe we could have gotten our anger out of our system properly, but
because it was offered up that I could do the show alone, and I was like, there's going to be a show alone with me and my thoughts just going out on YouTube. And I said to myself, and I thought for a couple of hours, I'm like, I better not do the show because you know what's going to happen. Because with this season, it's been up and down. I'm like, I'm going to go off on this team, and then all of a sudden, they're going to flip things around. And you can actually compare the past 2 weeks. We had no life, and now we kind of have life right now. So I don't know what's going on. But, yeah, I'm glad that we get to kind of go over everything right now and not last week.
Yeah, so it has been a busy 2 weeks between the two. There's been 7 games. Starting from the very beginning, we had the Blues. That was a 6-4 loss. Then we had the Hurricanes. That was a 6-2 loss. The Predators, a 2-1 loss. Red Wings, a 5-3 loss. So that was week 1 of the 2. Just generally, like, what were your takeaways from that week, if you had any? It's been a while now. So
no, last week I was at the point where it's there was no message getting through to the team. The only person that called the team soft was Dylan Cousins, and I said, you know what? I think it's time to fire Granato. And I'm still kind of not off that train right now. I'm still kind of hovering around. Like, I don't think Granato is going to be the guy for this team in the future. So, I don't know. I'm still sitting at, leaning more towards we got to start looking for a different coach, a different coaching staff type of thing, just because, that was a rough week. The team wasn't motivated. And when you don't have a motivated team, especially when you're trying to get into the playoffs, I mean, what are you going to do? There has going to have to be some changes. But, that was my mindset last week for those losses. I don't know if you're feeling the same way, the team with low energy.
Yeah. The first game against the Blues, I thought we kind of looked good, and then we would just randomly give up the worst high danger chance the league has ever seen, and then we'd proceed to look good and then do it again. So that was a weird game for me, and honestly, we probably could have won that one. I thought that in the game against the Predators, we looked all right. We could not finish a chance for the life of us, and we got great goaltending from Luukkonen, I believe it was.
Yep.
The other two games were terrible. There's nothing positive to take away from them. We looked so bad. But I don't think that that week was as devastating as the box score, the points that we took away from it. I don't think it was good. I don't think you look at that and you're like, we should be proud of anything that happened that week, because honestly, I was prepared to get out the note cards and be like, there are no 3 stars for this week. Everything was bad.
Not at all. Yeah,
exactly. Like that, I don't know. I don't think it was nearly as devastating as a lot of people kind of made it out to be. But it's not a good look, and especially for a team that's trying to make a playoff push, the 4 losses in a row is definitely detrimental and sets us back quite a bit.
Yeah, I think after that week is kind of like a time for, what we call it, self-reflecting as fans, and just self-reflecting on the team, just being like, where we didn't do anything really during the offseason. Our free agents that we have at that point have all been busts. We didn't do really anything about goaltending. And then you kind of look back at the coaching staff and you kind of realize, you have Matt Ellis, a career 4th liner, semi-H, right? Also AHLer. He's running the power play on the team. He's never had any NHL experience as a coaching. I think he had very little coaching experience coming into it too. I think he only coached Amherst as a bench coach for or 2 years before that. Their other coach, who sadly I don't know their name, same situation. No NHL coaching experience. Their goaltender coach is really the only one that had NHL experience out of all of them, and they got kind of semi-good NHL or semi-good goaltending this year. And then you have Granato, which he's never been a head coach before. He's always been a bench coach, and he's not really that fiery guy. And then, I'll be honest, back when the Sabres were going through a coaching search 2 years ago, I was like, hell, bring Tortorella in. But, I was like, you guys are going to fire the team up. But I know people have, he's a polarizing guy, but listening to a lot of players, they're Torts guys. A lot of guys love Torts after a while.
I think that Torts is a good way to get an underperforming older team to get back on track. I think with as young as our team is and was, Tortorella was probably never the right answer for us. But I get what you're saying. He's got that fire to him. He really will put pressure on people to perform, and that's something that maybe we need. I think I'm at the point now where I half agree with your assessment. I think that Don Granato does a good job of getting the most out of individuals. We see it last year with individuals outperforming what they had ever done in their career before. Tage Thompson is the prime example of that, but it goes down the whole lineup. You get a career year from Jeff Skinner at 30. You get Dylan Cousins. Obviously, he's regressed a little bit this year. You get Alex Tuck. He's been hurt this year. But all of those people had clear improvement because they were playing for Granato, and I think that that's important. It's also worth noting, though, that they were playing, I'm not going to say selfishly, but the style of play that they were playing was it wasn't a holistic, it wasn't a team style. Sorry if you heard something fall over. My roommates are doing something. It wasn't a team style, right? I think that now that we're pivoting into hey, let's try and play a whole game. Let's try and play where we have systems in place instead of just everyone show off your skill and get as many points as possible. I think that you can still have Don Granato as the head coach, but you probably need to get rid of Ellis and the other like assistant coaches. Obviously, Mike Bale's the goalie coach. Doesn't really matter. He's like that is kind of a separate facet. And if you think that our goalies are underperforming, which I don't think they are, I think they're kind of given what they are. It's not shocking that maybe they've struggled throughout the year. Although recently we've seen some goalie successes, and we'll get into that. But I think that, yeah, like whoever's like coordinating our offensive and defensive systems need to go. We need some sort of change up, and especially whoever's working on the power play. I think that specifically needs to be worked and changed. So
I'm pretty sure Matt Ellis is the one that runs the power play. Just listening from Paul Hamilton and even after the whistle guys, they all seem to say it's Matt Ellis, running the power play. Which,
right.
Like I said, he's never. I don't think he ever played the power play in his life, besides maybe before getting into the NHL. The only thing that I worry about with Granato staying as the head coach is you're gonna want to find veteran guys, but would veteran guys want to work underneath Granato?
That's a good question. I don't know how the league dynamics work. I think that if you're offered a position on an up and coming team that maybe has room to grow, like I think if you are looking at the current Sabres roster and you can see that maybe offensively they're underperforming compared to how they were last year, and you say, hey, I think I can make them better. I think I can put systems in place that can make them better. And you're looking at that as more of a launching off point. I don't think it matters that you're working under Don Granato. I think that there's an opportunity here in Buffalo. If you are a potential like forward system coach or power play coach, and you're looking at the roster that we have, it's a gold mine. There are so many talented players who are currently just not living up to what they can do, at least offensively. Our defense is actually shored up a little bit this year, and it's been better these past like couple of weeks, minus last one. But skipping last week, like it's been better for probably a month and a half now.
Yeah. And I think like always the one thing I was going to go back to too is like, with Michael Pekka, he was down in the Amherst and he was looking for an NHL job. I just found it curious that the Sabres just didn't bring him up. Like, here's a guy that you've had, former Sabre, NHL All-Star, had success in the Buffalo Junior Sabres. Then he had success in the AHL. Why did you let that guy get away and go over to the Rangers now, where you could have just brought him up and maybe, have him take over Matt Ellis' position, or have him in a coaching position up there? Just because I don't know, I don't think Matt Ellis or the other coach. I liked Matt Ellis.
Marty Wilford.
Yeah,
I could be wrong, but
I think that's his name. Yeah, it's Marty Wilford or Marty Wilford. I like those aren't household names. Maybe you get a guy that's had a lot of NHL experience and playing on the top line for years. Have him running the power play. Have him up on the bench, opposed to these other guys. Not saying that Ellis or Wilford aren't worth their weight in anything, but there is some value to a guy that has NHL experience and success in the NHL. And I'm not sure what Pekka's doing. I think Pekka is a bench coach for the Rangers. I don't know. I'm not sure what he's doing there, but I think that I think sounding from a lot of things I listened to during the summer when he left was he's an up and coming guy right now.
Right.
So you could have had that, and I found it curious that the Sabres let him go.
If we were trying, so currently, if we're looking at offense, we're assuming it's Matty Ellis doing the offense and the power play.
Yep.
Last year, our offense was great, right? If we were trying to replace one at the start of the year and we looked at our offensive coach and our power play coach and we said, this guy's got to go so that we can place Pekka on the bench, that wouldn't have been the right move. Now it like definitely is, right? If you've got an up and comer who's like clearly going to be something, and you can put him on that bench, and like we have a need right now. Now it feels like that's a loss, but at the time, I think I even said so. Like, yeah, it stings. You hate to see him go, but where were you going to place him if the rumors were true that he wanted to be like on a bench coach? Because apparently we did offer him the like kind of like, is it video coach, some sort of video coach.
There's
But
so many positions I don't even know about. Like, what is Craig Anderson at this point?
he's
like
a
special
hockey
assistant.
liaison.
Yeah, what does that even mean?
He's there. The players love him. That's
if,
about it.
if two of the goalies are injured, he comes into practice and dresses up so people can shoot pucks at him. Did you see them when Ryan Miller came in? He was at practice dressed up.
Was he?
Craig Anderson, yeah.
That's awesome, actually.
Because Levi wasn't called up at that point, so they're like, we need a goaltender, and Anderson was in net for practice that day.
Yeah, he's multifaceted. That Anderson is. So I don't know what all these coaching positions are, but Pekka apparently wanted to be on the bench, and that wasn't available. So again, if it was a him or Matty Ellis thing at the start of the season, Matty Ellis up until this year, his offense worked. I mean, that was a good-looking offense last year.
Yeah,
but
no, and they had a track record. They're playing well, but like you said, is it now that they're trying to transition and playing in a team offense that this is where they're going to struggle is going to be? Because once you get into the playoffs, you can't play individualized hockey. You have to play as a team, especially on offense.
Yeah. And obviously that's why they're trying to make that transition, right? So that we can play as a team and make it to the playoffs. First of all, that's the like at this point what we're worried about. We're no longer worried about, oh, do you think we'll make it out of the first round? It's, oh, do you even think it's possible for us to make the playoffs at this point? And so like that's a disheartening conversation to be having given the hype that was around this team. But that's where we are now. But they were trying to transition into more systems play so that by the time that we made it to the playoffs, that like we were harder to play against. We were more defensively sound. We didn't just give up chances the way we did last year and get like taken advantage of by better teams. But it backfired to some extent, obviously. And here we are now. And that it leads to a week of a 4-game skid. But immediately after that, we followed up with the week that we just had where we went to the Bruins and we won there 3-1. Then we were at home against the Canadiens. We lost in a shootout 3-2. And honestly, Caden Primo, shout out to him because he had himself a great game. And then yesterday against the Coyotes, we won 5-2, and I was there. And that's part of the reason my voice hasn't fully recovered from being sick.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of, I mean, when I said I wasn't going to do the show, this is kind of what I was expecting. Honestly, I was actually looking ahead of getting just the snot beat out of us by the Boston Bruins. I was like, I am not in a good headspace to even talk Sabres hockey because I'm just going to lose my mind right now. But yeah, I think when we won against Boston, that was actually surprising because we were also without Rasmus Dahlin at that point, right?
Yeah, but we did have a very important addition during that game.
Oh, yeah.
The big trade for Eric Robinson. Absolutely blockbuster move. We sent over a conditional 7th-round pick.
Yeah. I was not expecting any of this from Eric Robinson, to be totally honest with you. He plays for the Columbus Blue Jackets, got sent down to the AHL on waivers, and then the Sabres, I don't know what the whole situation was because the Sabres could have probably picked him up on waivers way at the beginning of the year if they wanted him, but then they traded him for a conditional 7. So, I mean, I think it's 45 games he has to play. He
has to play like 45 games, and we're like already 30 in. So,
well,
it might be close.
It's a 7th-round pick.
Yeah, like worst case scenario, we send over a 7th-round pick.
Actually, but we have Devin Levi and Victor Olofsson were both 7th-round picks. So, hey, maybe
there's value to be found in the 7th round. Not denying that.
No.
But it's not something that I think we should like worry ourselves about.
What have you thought of the elements that Eric Robinson has brought to the team?
So when we first heard about that trade, I specifically was looking at the Columbus Blue Jackets side of it because that's always the best place to get the enemy lines is always the best place to get the information about a player, and they seem to think that Eric Robinson was going to get 50 breakaways for us and score on 0 of them. And immediately during that first game, he did that. He got a crazy breakaway.
Yep.
I think he shot it 30 feet wide of the net. I'm like, here it is. He plays very fast. He plays very hard. Although actually, up until this year with us, he had never registered more than 6 penalty minutes in a year.
That's
So
crazy.
he plays hard, but it's apparently a very clean brand of playing hard, unless you're boarding.
During the Montreal Canadiens.
Was that Barron?
I think it was. Yeah, it was Barron. Yeah, because Gather went after him afterwards. Yeah.
So unless you're boarding Hayden Barron, like it is apparently he's very clean when he plays hockey, but he's very fast, very hard, and like he crashes the net, which I think is the most important quality of any of the things that he does. He gets to the net unlike anybody that we have on the team. He just puts himself in front, and if the puck is near him, he will jam and he will dig, and he will get goals called off for goaltender interference during that first game, but he'll still go at it. We won that first game, so it's fine. It's whatever.
No, that's like you said, that's an element that the Sabres are missing. And if goaltender interference is something that the team's going to have to deal with him, I'm perfectly fine with that. That just means there's a guy who's not afraid to be in front of the net, and get the dirty goals out there. They have a lot of skill guys. This team has too many skill guys. The system has too many skill guys. We need to find that balancing element, and we also needed to start adding some of these guys to our third and fourth lines. So it's nice to see that with Eric Robinson, and you can kind of see that philosophy shift kind of happening too with Matt Murray brought up yesterday. He's kind of that same exact style of player. He's not going to be that nifty goal scorer. He's just a big bruiser who's just going to be banging in pucks that are rebounding off the goaltender, and that's what this team needs. If you're going to shoot pucks from the outside the circles and there's going to be rebounds afterwards, you better have a guy in front of the net. They didn't have that. And now they kind of have that guy right now. Now, how long is this going to last with Eric Robinson?
That is a great question.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I don't think he's a long-term solution. I don't think he's signing a 7-year deal after this season. But these are the type of guys we mentioned earlier that you need not only on 5-on-5, but also on the power play too, because they're missing that element. You got too many skill guys. We're at the point right now with the Sabres. You got to figure out who's in and who's out when it comes to skill guys, and you need to start making trades starting this year.
Yeah.
Even if it's prospects, you got to stop holding on to these guys because you're going to have to get some older. You can't continue to be the youngest team in the league. You can't continually have to have your rookies like Benson or Ryan Johnson being the most, active guys out on the ice when the game's down 3-0 in the first period. You're going to have to get some guys who are going to be some bruisers, who are going to be some bangers, who are going to get there. Like we mentioned, they're almost like a Marcus Foligno type of guy. Just get in front of the net. You don't have to fight everybody. You don't have to check people hard, but just, add that physical element so you're not getting pushed around on the ice out there, and then just scoring the dirty goals. Heck, Reinhart made his first 2 years of his career scoring goals in front of the net because he couldn't shoot from the outside. Now look at him.
Okay, Reinhart is not a...
I know he's not a bruiser.
Right. I get what you're saying, right? But I think that then pivoting to being like, look at how Reinhart did it.
But do you remember?
I love Reinhart, and I actually agree. He made a home in front of the net. He would just sit there, he tip pucks, and then he would jam at them once they hit the goalie, and that was his brand of scoring, and he was good at it.
Yeah.
He's not a bruiser. He would sit there and he would take abuse. He would get cross-checked out there. And it's kind of that's what Benson does that to some extent. He'll get to the front of the net and he'll take every single cross-check and he'll just stand there. He gets tips. He's not as good at it as Reinhart was, but he's also 19. So or 18. He's not even 19. So like Benson does kind of what Reinhart does. I think that the addition of Robinson kind of rounds out the fourth line because we already kind of had those like grindy, defensively sound guys in Kyle and and Krebs, but neither of them were really getting. They were kind of
No.
playing perimeter whenever they got in the zone, and that's good for like trying to tire out the other team, but it never felt like a scoring threat.
Yeah.
Now that you have someone actually at the net with that line, like it's really helps. As for the rest of the lineup, I don't think you necessarily need like two. Like I think you want at least like one person who can push pace on each line, but that's your Alex Tuck, that's your JJ Paterka. You kind of throw those through the lineup. You have Casey Middlestat, who's a beast on wall battles this year, which is not necessarily what was going to be expected of him.
Yeah.
Like we have guys who are multifaceted like that. And as far as like a bruiser line, I think you really only need or really only want one. And we have that as it currently stands. I think that not necessarily we should be looking to put more through the lineup, but that we just need to round out what we currently have. Like, I don't think that Tyson Yost is a third line player. I think his time on this team is basically done, and we'll be able to like get into that a little bit because we have Alex Tuck coming back presumably on Wednesday, so tomorrow.
Yep.
We have Jordan Greenway, whose timeline is unknown, and he's a little bit of a glass player, kind of like Samuelson this year, so we don't know whether or not he'll be able to stay healthy, but if he's healthy, like that pushes someone else out of the lineup.
Just on Greenway real quick.
Sorry.
Do you know how much longer his contract is?
I believe he's got this year.
Okay. I don't see him going further with this team after this year.
I think it depends on how he closes it out, because the way that he started was great. And then he really settled into his role as like a kind of third, fourth line guy who's maybe not the most offensively productive, but is giving you like defense and he's giving you penalty kill. And he was good at that. He's very good at that. He has not been able to stay healthy. And that was an issue in Minnesota as well, right? When we got him last year, he wasn't healthy. So it's a little bit of like, is it worth keeping him around if he's going to miss 30% of the games?
No.
But I think when he's healthy, he's a effective addition to the lineup. And I think if you can push him down to the fourth line and you could have a fourth line of Greenway, Peyton Krebs, like next year, because I don't think Kyle sticks around next year. Like Eric Robinson, if he sticks around, if he proves to be good. I think it's important to note Eric Robinson has 269 games played and 85 career points. He's a point per game with us right now. That's not sustainable.
No.
What we're getting from him right now is not the Eric Robinson that you should expect throughout the whole season.
Not at all. We don't even know if he'll be in the NHL for the whole season. He might even get
exactly. I mean, that's the point of the conditional 7th round pick. Like we didn't really fully expect him to play all 45 games. So like you have to make a decision for what you want on the fourth line. But as of right now, for our third line, you're going to see Tyson Jost out of a roster spot as soon as Alex Tuck comes back, I think. And that's an improvement. You push the lineup in a way where, okay, now you have Skinner, Tuck, Thompson back together. You have that kid line that's clicking pretty well of Benson with Cousins and Paterka. Cousins needs to figure stuff out, but as of right now, that line doesn't feel bad. Then you have Middlestat playing with a rejuvenated Olofsson. Quinn is back on the horizon. He'll be back soon. And then you have Greenway on the horizon. He'll be back soon. So you're pushing out 2 people from the lineup. And then you still have to have a conversation about what you want to do when Gergensons comes back. Once all these pieces fall into place, I think we'll push the lineup in a direction that's very favorable. And it doesn't need to be inserting more bruisers or fourth liners that we've complained about, like the fact that we had 2 fourth lines for the past like 3 months. We'll finally have 3 scoring lines, proper scoring lines. Like your lineup would be, once everyone's back, you have the top 2 lines that we mentioned, and then Middlestat, Jack Quinn, and one of Olofsson, Greenway, Jurgensons, Robinson, literally, because all of those players those are the ones that are looking for that final roster spot.
Yeah.
And you can make 3 good scoring lines with that. There's good enough options where you have 3 very good lines. And if the energy line, that's the 4th line currently, can keep up at the pace, I don't even need them to be scoring. They are running people down. They are absolutely wearing them out. They are putting pucks to the net. They're wearing out goalies. They're hard to play against. They're doing their job right now, even if they're not scoring. And they are scoring. But
yeah. My concern too is that this has only been going for 3 games.
yeah,
How long are they going to sustain this? I don't believe they're going to sustain this long. Well, the track history of this team this season has shown that they're not going to sustain this long. And I'm not saying that any, signing bringing in more bruisers or guys like that is going to make it. That's not what I'm going to say. The problem is just there's a lot of things with this team that they haven't shown. Like, I don't trust them at all. I don't trust this team at all. There's very little players I trust, to be totally honest with you. Even the top line. I mean, yeah, it's great. You're going to have Tuck, Thompson, and Skinner together, but they weren't even that productive when they were together. They weren't that high energy line. So what happens when Tuck comes back and it's back to the same old of at the beginning of the season where it's just like that line's not producing? What are you going to do to change that line? That's great that our 4th line's being high energy, but if that's not translating into the top lines, that's great. And then if Cousins is still going to be, I'm glad Cousins called himself out too in that press conference saying he needs to perform. He needs to score goals. He doesn't get paid to score goals. You're actually paid to play a full rounded game. So the goals aren't the biggest thing, Cousins. It's a matter of just getting points, looking like you're deserving to be out there, which there's games that you are and games that you aren't. So I think this team really needs to look itself in the face and say, are we actually going to be for real this year? Are we going to keep on, teasing the fans, being like, oh yeah, we're going to go on a short little run here, and then we're going to lose, and then we're going to go on a short little run, and then we're going to lose, because you're not winning fans back anymore. Look during the Canadiens game. And I know every Canadiens game is the same, but I don't even think I saw that many blue jerseys even in the lower bowl. It was all red jerseys. Sabres fans don't care right now. They don't trust you, and they don't have faith in the organization anymore, as well as the players. That's great. You had a great year scoring a lot of goals last year. That's awesome. You're not a playoff team, and you're not a playoff team right now. And if you can continue this streak going, and this streak has to go, if they're going to get points, this point streak has to have to continue for the next 4 weeks for me to kind of trust this team. You have Levi, who's playing out of his mind right now for this team. But what happens when UPL comes back, and he's going to probably be rusty his first game? Are you going to stand on top of your head for your goaltender, or are you going to expect your goaltender to stand on top of his head?
I think part of the reason that Levi has looked good in his 3-game return is that the defense has been better. I think that our kind of, as a team defense, are starting to figure it out. There's certain individuals that you see where, like, maybe it's not there. Like, sometimes, like, Kyle Okposo plays hard every single shift. Yeah. That is something that you've come to expect from him, and we see it. But sometimes he's a step behind. He's old. He's lost it a little bit. And in his defensive zone, sometimes he can't make it out to the point quick enough. And like you get burned there. Sometimes Connor Clifton still loses his assignment, even though he's had a good week. I think he'll lose his assignment. He'll drift off into a corner. He'll check something, and then all of a sudden there's a man open in the slot. Sometimes you have Jeff Skinner just drifting around out there. He's just completely lost on defense, it seems. But all in all, I think that like this week, our defense has been solid. You don't see too many like terrible turnovers in the zone. You haven't seen too many just like incredibly lost defenders. It's been better. And that's what's encouraging to me. Like, yeah, Devin Levi's played very well. He's got a 9.42 on 81 shots or 86 shots. He has 81 saves, and that's in the most recent 3 games. And that's an improvement from where he was. He was like an 8.86 to start the year.
Yeah.
Or for in the 9 games before he was sent down to the AHL. Like, but you don't play 2 games in the AHL and be like, all right, I'm developed. Like this run is partly due to the fact that the defense around him has been playing better. And that helps. That helps you. And if you're like if you're a UPL and you're trying to get back into a game, knowing that your defense is going to be playing better in front of you while you're rusty is like a confidence boost, and it's going to help him. And It's going to help pad stats
Yeah.
for goaltenders and win us games.
Yeah, I guess you have to hope that their defense keeps on going.
Yeah.
And that's just my concern, is that this team has been riding the wave. It's been
Right.
going up and it's been going down, and it hasn't just stayed up and continued to go up. And that's the thing. It's like, what is motivating this team to play better, and what's going to motivate them to keep on playing better? And like you said, Levi, you saw his immaturity in the shootout against Montreal. He was coming way too far out of the net on shootouts, and he was giving up a lot of space for a team from Montreal. Yeah, their record isn't great, but they got a lot of skilled guys. You got some top picks in there, and you can't. And that's going to happen. You're going to have these rough patches with Levi while he's still trying to figure out the NHL game. Now, when UPL comes back, there's another question. And I think I know the answer to this question. Comrie is going to have to get sent down.
Yeah.
I think if you send Comrie down, guess what? You're going to have a 1A, 1B goalie situation where UPL and Levi are just going to have to switch out back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
And I think that's probably the right thing to do.
It is.
I don't think after seeing Levi start the season 4 games in a row and then kind of implode as a result, I think it's fine. I don't think you want to give Levi the full workload.
Nope.
I think you want to divvy it up a bit. And I think that both of them are playing well enough recently that they're both earning time.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see a proper rotation where we don't have to worry about a third goalie.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, wait, the team doesn't have space for a third goaltender this time around. You have to have a big bench at this point, especially. Is Bryson still on the team?
Bryson's still on the team. He's going to, again, because we have so many people coming back, there's no way that Bryson can stick around because we have 4 people coming back. And, you send down Comrie, you send down Bryson, you send down Brett Murray. We're going to have to actually make another decision about who we send down. And it's probably, I imagine, Jost, but it could be anyone. I don't think they would want to send down Girgensons.
No.
But I'm not sure he comes back and plays.
I don't really see a spot for Girgensons at this point. I think it would have to be him and Okposo, kind of switching in and out of the lineup. Because, like you said, you can't be seeing Okposo every night. You can see when the game is wearing down on him, and he's not as quick as he used to be. Yeah,
and he's a good player when he has energy in him. But he's been scoring goals recently, putting up points. He's old. That's his reality. He's gonna give every amount of his effort in every shift, but sometimes there's just not the energy left in the tank. And it's not a bad thing to say, hey, get some rest. I feel the same way about Eric Johnson on the blue line. He started the season really well, I thought. He looked really good, really steady, and he's down a step now. It seems like forwards are getting by him more regularly, and he'll lose battles in the corner more regularly. It's fine to give him a break. You're already sitting. You already have to make choice about who you're sitting because Ryan Johnson's forced your hand.
Yeah,
it can be the veteran guy every now and then.
Yeah, and I hear a lot of people talking about, well, you can't sit Okposo. He's the captain. You have to have respect for him. And same with Eric Johnson. He's a leading veteran, and you have to have respect for him. It's like, at this point, you got to think of this as a business. Your business plan is to make the playoffs at the end of this season. And you can't be having guys that, can't keep up with the opposing team and can't keep a consistent game in the lineup. And it's fine. I mean, you're going to have to hurt egos. And as a captain of a team, and Okposo, he's going to have to accept that. And I'm sure he's willing to accept that. And the same with Eric Johnson. These guys are not the guys, when we signed Okposo back, 6 years ago. He's not the same player as he was then. Before he was scoring goals. Now he's not much of a goal scorer, even though he's had a couple recently. And then Eric Johnson, obviously, he's not, he was the first overall pick. Never lived up to it, but he's always a solid defenseman. But he was, they're not those guys anymore. and you got to give some chance. Like Ryan Johnson should be getting more chances out there. And, the biggest thing is just, there's going to have to be accountability. Like Clifton is going to have to step up his game and keep his game stepped up too, because you're not going to have Eric Johnson back there bailing you out sometimes. You're going to have the rest of the team's younger than you at this point. You have to look at yourself as a veteran if you're Connor Clifton. And he's been showing up for the past since the Boston game, but you got to continue that.
Yeah. Again, I do think that like this past week, he looked really good. He was one of the drivers on Kyle Okposo's goal. Actually, I think it was mostly Connor Clifton's response. Like that was his goal. Mm-hmm. He set up that whole situation and put the goalie off balance there. And I think like beyond just the offensive impact of that goal, like he's been stable in the back end. His breakout passes haven't been great, but like he's doing what he needs to do. And I think that he's looked better than Johnson during the past, Eric Johnson during the past week. And I think it's if Samuelson's coming back, like give Eric a rest. It's not the end of the world. Veterans should like it should be pretty. I don't know why it isn't normalized for veterans over the age of 35 to get rest days. Like,
I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
It's like I know you said it like bruises egos. Like I don't know. I know that it does. I don't know why it should though. Like
especially at that age,
happens, man.
Yeah.
Like you'll be better for it during the next game.
Mm-hmm.
But
so I was kind of out of it today because I was busy with work. Did Samuelson get injured again?
Yeah, Samuelson's been out. He didn't play the last 2 games, I want to say. So he's made a glass. When he plays, he's helpful. I thought during the Boston game, actually he's been playing, or he missed only the last game. I thought during the Boston game that because Dahlin didn't play, and Samuelson ended up playing with Power.
Yeah.
We had talked about it earlier in the season. Putting Samuelson with Power, I thought was looked really good. Those two looked really good together. And it's again, Samuelson plays a very simple game, but that very simple game he plays very well. And what it does, it allows you to have Power just kind of activate however he wants. Power can do the things that he wants to do without worrying about whether or not his defense partner is going to like be there on the back end, because Samuelson doesn't really do offense. He doesn't. And sometimes he kills offense, but
he really does kill offense. I mean, seeing him rush up into the offensive zone, Mike, just stay back, dude.
But it gives Power the opportunity to play his game more freely, because Yogi Haru actually will sometimes step up into the zone effectively. He'll find good shots in weird places and he'll move the puck, but Samuelson doesn't really do that, so you don't have to worry about that as Power. And it allows him to get deeper in the zone, and he had been doing that. Like the offense that he'd been creating, I thought looked good as a result of the fact that he doesn't have to worry about it. He can just play a more free game. And we were talking about like Dahlin figured it out under like playing with Samuelson. And now Dahlin doesn't need Samuelson. Dahlin can play with literally anyone and elevate their game.
And I think Dahlin's been playing well with Yoki Haru.
Yeah, Dahlin's been very that's been a good pairing.
Yeah,
but again, that's what playing with Sam like. Now you're giving Power the opportunity to do the same thing. Just give him some time to not worry about his defensive responsibilities and just play the game in a way that's like can make you feel good about your contribution without having to think too hard about small details. So I think that like that was a good step in the right direction. And then you get back and and then they continued playing Power with Samuelson and Dahlin with Yoki Haru. And then of course Samuelson goes down because he can't stay healthy for more than 5 games. But I think I like that development, and I would like to see Power continue to play with Samuelson whenever he comes back.
Yeah. Problem is availability is the best ability, and Samuelson is barely ever valuable, to be totally honest with you. And it's frustrating and it's kind of annoying because what injuries are you dealing with? Like you're out for 2 periods. Was it against the Devils? He's out for the last 2 periods of the game, then is back in the next game, literally the next day. Like, are you just getting bumps and bruises? Are you hurt? This is a funny thing. I mean, it's kind of like a joke, but it's also kind of being serious. Are you hurt or are you injured?
Right.
Like you have to distinguish between the two. Like if you're hurt, you have to play hurt. I don't care. If you're seriously injured, then yeah, obviously you shouldn't be out there. But you're playing professional hockey, and if you're willing and you want to get the playoffs and you're being a team player, you're gonna have to play hurt, man. And I don't care at this point. I don't know the style of play, and if it's the style of play that you do play, which isn't overly physical, then you're gonna have to check something and figure out why you're always getting injured. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of getting annoyed with Samuelson, to be totally honest with you. It's like, why are you always out of the lineup? You gotta, I don't know, toughen up a little bit, man.
I feel like it's a tough criticism. It's he's been hurt the majority of the
His
time
career
here, but
Yeah.
I don't like if you're getting injured, what are you supposed to do, right? Like
he's gonna have to go back and figure out what he is doing, because it's obviously, why are these? There's not. I think Power's been in the lineup the whole entire. Well, I shouldn't say Power. That's probably the wrong person to pick. But there's a lot of guys that play that played almost every game this full season. So why is it that you're always getting injured and other players are consistently in the lineup? Because it's not Samuelson physicality, because he's not going out and bashing people.
Right.
So
he does block a lot of shots. I know actually during the Devils game, it was a blocked shot in the hand.
Yeah. I mean, but that's a hurt then.
Maybe
break his hand.
I don't
know. I've always played. I mean, when I played sports, I always played injured just because I didn't want to be out of the game. Right. I would just play it, and I'm not trying to be. Oh, back when I was in high school, this is what I did. I'm just trying to say, I'm like, sometimes you just gotta play hurt, man. I mean, if you're for the team and you're a team player, if you feel like it's not going to hinder your game too much, then just go out and play hurt. I don't know.
I think it so depends on just like the kind of hurt,
That's why it's hurt or injured.
Yeah. But Samuelson has not been the healthiest. It's not been the most active chat, but we should take a moment and just look through all the chats that we've gotten.
Yeah.
Here's to you, Mr. Robinson. City turns its lovely eyes to you. Thanks for the comment, Dad. Yep. Robinson's been great.
What's Tom saying? Darlene and Krebs need
to change the goal song. Krebs' goal song is Rasputin. I don't know what Darlene's is off the top of my head.
I don't know it either. So Tom, let us know.
Yeah, I don't know what Darlene's is, but I'm fully in favor of Krebs keeping Rasputin.
Yeah,
that's a great song. We
haven't heard it that much, but yeah.
Yeah, we haven't heard it that much. You think he's got 2 goals? One was on the road, maybe.
Yeah, and then talk about hurt or injured though, Tom, for the last one too.
Oh yeah,
Razor took a forehead puck. I mean, he called the rest of the game, so
yeah.
He's bleeding.
He's a real trooper. I think he made a comment about like it's been a while since I've had a puck to the forehead and kind of laughs it off. But he was in the league. He was a tough guy in the league. He can take a puck.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know. Samuelson, take a talk to Uncle Razor. See what he says.
Perhaps Samuelson needs a conversation with Razor because he's made of glass. Him and Greenway need to have that conversation. They need to figure out what it is.
They're big dudes, and when they're out of the lineup, it hurts the team. So, I mean, I don't know. I think that's the other part that I just kind of like, you're out. It hurts the team. You should be in the lineup. I don't know. It's a lot of things going on. It's a lot of emotions, like I said.
Well,
and then, I guess I want to ask you too. So Rosine, he got a couple more games compared to Kulik.
Yeah.
What did you think of his play when he was up here? I know he wasn't playing heavy minutes, but what did you think of him overall up here?
I thought it was fine. I thought he looked good even. I understand the choice to switch him for Murray, right? You have a situation where you're playing the guy like 6 minutes a night. I think on his last night he played 4.5. He's gonna like do better just getting time down in the AHL, right? Like you're gonna want to maximize the time he's playing. It's way better for him to be playing 20 minutes a night in the A than 4 in the NHL. Yeah. As good as the experience is, I think he's close. He's really close. He gets kind of bodied He's small. He looks like he hasn't really filled out his frame, which is just an unfortunate biological factor for someone. Like he's older, but it's so clear that his frame isn't totally filled out, and that's something that'll come with time. But he's close. He plays pretty like fast. He plays smart. You can see the vision sometimes with like he made a few really great passes that would give his teammate ridiculous amounts of time and space. The unfortunate thing about those passes is 70% of them, I believe, went to Tyson Jost.
Yeah.
That time and space didn't really mean anything.
No.
You give that time and space to someone like Tage Thompson, and everyone's at the edge of their seat like, oh my God, is this a goal? And that's not the case with Tyson Jost.
Yeah.
I think that the role that he was thrust in and the amount of time he was getting weren't great. But I think he showed that there's promise in his game, that there's something to look forward to there. And he's not even that bad defensively, I thought. He kind of drifts a little bit, but it's not as bad as like Skinner.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Skinner. You're pretty bad defensively.
He's terrible defensively.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that assessment. He didn't look out of place. I think your last point, I think if you're not Zach Benson or a few other rookies, I mean, you're almost expected to be like a drifter when it comes out and play on the ice. So
right. I mean he was better defensively than Kulik. That was the major thing. Kulik looked like he's never defended in his life, and it makes sense why he got sent down first.
Exactly. And he didn't look out of place. And like you said, I think that was the MO on him when he first got in the AHL too, is that he was kind of a smaller frame. You get bodied off of pucks, and that he's been working on that. And you can see, it is developing. So, and the few minutes that he was up there, he didn't really do anything to lose the game. He kind of was just solid. I mean, he didn't stick out too much, which it really is a good thing as a rookie, to be honest. I mean, unless you're like a superstar, if you're sticking out really well, that's great for good things. But if you're not sticking out, that's better than sticking out for bad things. So, and to send him down to HL, like you mentioned, it just makes sense. If you're going to be playing 6 minutes, that's a kind of a Murray role. Send him back and play in AHL.
Yeah, I think that the moves make sense. Like, as much as I think that Roseanne's better than Murray, and we can have the conversation about Murray. As much as I think Roseanne's better than Murray, like this move makes perfect sense.
Yeah, no, I agree. I know what you mean too.
On that topic, though, how do you feel about Murray? How do you think he's played? I know you talked a little bit about how you like that he was checking things and is kind of a big body, but overall, like, how do you think his game is? Do you think he's adding to the team in a positive way?
I think he's adding an element that the other prospects weren't adding. I mean, you're bringing up Bureau. I don't know. Like, I'm going to leave out Rusek just because Rusek really is more like a career fourth liner AHL type of player.
Right.
But when you're bringing up like Rosine, you're bringing up Kulik, you're bringing in skilled guys. And at that point, the team, I remember the first game when Kulik and Rosine came up, people were like, oh, I can't wait to see them. They're making a difference on this team. And it's like, no, they're rookies.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. That was a very bad. I don't remember what game that was, but they got shelled that game.
That was the Devils game. So I think it was
the
6-1 game.
Maybe unfortunate timing, maybe whatever, but they didn't help their own case.
Exactly. So and like I mentioned earlier, this team has a lot of skills right now, and they don't need to bring in any more skill at the moment. They need to start bringing in, like I said, more of like the physical, defensively sound type of players. Murray's been in the AHL forever. He's been down there forever, and he hasn't really changed the way that he plays. He plays physical. He's going to be a third line. He's going to be a third liner, more fourth liner type of player. And this is the guy that's going to be in the future. So I see him as in next year playing up on the fourth line, maybe not this year too. He hasn't done anything to, hurt the team at all. He's played solid. He's playing physical. The team needs a little bit more of a physical element, and they just needed bigger body guys out there too. So, and you need that. You need, as much as cliched as it is, sometimes you just need a bigger guy out there to make your other players play better. So, I mean, I like the way he plays, and I hope he stays up a little bit. He's earned it. He's had a good career in the AHL and deserves to come up and play for a little bit up here.
I think that my evaluation of him is going to be a little more critical.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry in advance, Brett Murray. I think that I like the effort that you must put in to become a player in the AHL and then like even make any games in the NHL is incredible. So I'm sorry, but I think at his peak, he's like Greenway minus.
Yep.
He'll put like pressure onto people. He's a big body. He's willing to use it, but I don't think he actively seeks to use it. One of the things I'd love to see him do more is that Eric Robinson thing of parking himself in front of the net and just really fighting off everyone there. And he doesn't really do that. In his offensive zone presence is underwhelming, in my opinion. I don't think that he really uses his body to full advantage in that regard. And I think that he would, in theory, be the perfect like net front presence, but in practice is all right. He is also very slow. That is one of the things that you notice when he's on the ice.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's kind of weird because it's not something where you often pick out the slow guy. Like every once in a while, you'll see the really fast guy, and you're like, holy cow. Connor McDavid can go 25 miles an hour on ice. That's crazy. That then, like, everyone else kind of blends into a blob from the high to low. Like, they're not really differentiated by that much. It's weird when you notice someone on the other end of the spectrum where you're like, this guy is noticeably 2 steps behind everyone else. And I think that's part of the reason why, like, to me, he's not an NHLer. He'll be maybe a great 13th, 14th forward. Maybe he's a good person to have around, someone who you can throw in the lineup, and he changes the dynamic of things, right? Yeah. Because, like, for a team like ours, you don't want Brandon Biro as your 13th forward because he doesn't like if you change him in for someone while everyone's healthy, he doesn't shake up the roster.
No,
he just makes it the same, but now you probably have someone who's a little bit less quality than whoever you took out. With Brett Murray, you put him in for someone else, and all of a sudden the dynamic of a line is drastically shifted. So maybe he has a role as a 13th or 14th forward in the NHL, but for our team and like just as a player in general, I don't think he's there. And he's 26 now, I believe.
Yeah, he's older. He's been in the AHL forever.
He's been in the AHL forever. He's had stints with us before. Seeing him again, like I was hoping that maybe my perception of him would be changed from the last time I saw him, and it wasn't.
Yeah,
that's kind of hard.
Yeah, no, I think it's tough because, like you said, if you're not going to bring this, if you don't have the speed and you don't have the physicality, what type of player you're going to be? How. Like I pointed to, he's going to be more of a fourth line type of player if you're going to bring him onto the team. How often do you want him to be a fourth line player? I don't know. I mean, and that's where I come to where I said earlier is this team's going to have to figure out they might have to make some trades for some fourth line type of guys for the future years, just because they don't have anything like that in their system. I don't know. A lot of people there's some players in this, like Bureau. I really just don't want him in the system anymore after this year. I mean, you're a good player, man, but we have skilled players. You lean more towards like a goal scorer type of player. We don't really need that. We have guys coming up that are going to want to do that.
Again, like I've said it before, if you can have these guys sitting on your farm team as like a tweener type player that you can call up in the like event of an emergency, right? We have 4 players who are out right now, and you need to play someone from Rochester.
Yeah.
like we're beyond our 13th, 14th forward. We need someone from Rochester. It's fine to have these players around.
Yeah.
It really is. But if they have something better, if they have a better opportunity, if they can get onto an NHL team or someone else is offering them something better, like I don't think we should try and match it. I don't think we should be looking to retain them by all means necessary.
not
If
at
you can
all.
keep them around in the org, great. If not, I don't really think it's that much of a loss.
No, definitely not at all. There's some guys who I would not be crying if they're left. So
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, we got some acknowledgments from Jake. Hi, Jake. Mike, it is nice to be back. And Jake says they are stringing something together. I'm not sure if I'm sold, but it's encouraging. And yeah, that's the kind of sentiment you gave. It's nice to see them win games or get points.
Yeah.
But they're gonna need to maintain it for a little bit before I fully believe them.
Consistency, it's like when you're dating somebody at the beginning, you're just like, can I trust this person? I don't know. They're showing some red flags. They're hot and cold. Do I want to trust this person? And then eventually their true colors come out and you're like, all right, good thing. I didn't
And
buy
boy,
it all
is
the
this
way.
team nothing but red flags.
Yes, it is. And then, Mike again, Sabres have been a shots on goal machine. Wow. And they have been.
Yep.
They had 35 against the Bruins. How much? Yeah, Bruins, they had 35. I forgot how many they had against who they have after.
The Habs, we got 48 or 48 shots against the Habs.
Yeah, and 38 against the Wild, I think.
The Coyotes and
Coyotes. Wow.
Yeah,
my brain is frozen.
we kind of bullied Vamilka, but again, that's what I was saying earlier. Like, Caden Primo had a great game. Like, regardless of the result of that game, we got a point out of that. But Caden Primo had an awesome game against us. Not all the shots were super high danger, but
who was the goalie that we played the first time against the Habs? Because we also got goalie during that game too. I'm pretty sure.
Was it like Jake Allen? Like it was someone...
It was. Yes, it was. Yeah, because I remember we made an analogy to Josh Allen too. So yeah, it was Jake Allen.
Right. Yep, it was Jake Allen posted a 9.73 against us.
Yeah. So we
got 37 shots, 1 goal against.
So their goalies just love playing against Buffalo.
That is disheartening. Yeah. But yeah, we've been, I think maybe stylistically we've chosen to shift how we're playing, a more direct approach to the game. And obviously it coincides with getting a straight line player like Robinson, just throwing pucks on net. It doesn't need to be that fancy. I think that was kind of one of the messages from Don Granato today on his radio show, where he's saying like, it doesn't need to be the fanciest thing. You put shots on net, you get rebounds, you see where you go from there, right? Like you create chaos when you do that. And when you create chaos, like you're more likely to have something happen, right? Mm-hmm. Whether it be good or bad. Yeah. But yeah, I think that they talked about like trying to do that, or they're going to start trying to do that on the power play. So we'll see how that works. But it seems to be producing some positive results at even strength for the time being. And that's encouraging.
That was infuriating at the end of was it the Habs game? Yeah, when they went into overtime
and they had our power play,
and they just were not shooting pucks on net. I'm like,
yeah,
yes, every fan says it at that time during the power play, just shoot, but actually just shoot, like throw pucks at the net, get something to go in. But
right.
that was, I was screaming. Or I was internally screaming because
that was a tough power play. I did find it interesting that because there were no stoppages during that overtime, it was a 4-on-4, basically the whole overtime. It was interesting. I did not know what to expect, but it was fun. It was again just something I've never seen before.
I liked it better than the 3-on-3, to be honest with you. It just flowed better, and I don't know. I felt like there was more action on a 4-on-4. Than compared to a 3-on-3.
They were more willing to do things, I think is what it is, right? If you were in the offensive zone and you like take a shot and it's a bad one, guess what? Now there's a breakaway going the other way. I think with 4 people, like there's still more like space to play with, but it's not as detrimental if a turnover happens. So it led to people being more willing to just take a chance, take a shot on net, even if it's not the best one.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It's something interesting to look at. Maybe the league will look to that game as they change the rules for overtime.
Mm-hmm.
But that's been our 2 weeks mostly. Do you have any sort of like grand takeaways? Anything that other than what we've talked about already that stuck out to you, or do you think we covered it all?
I think we covered everything. We covered the highs, we covered the lows. So yeah, I feel like there's nothing else to say about it unless you have something.
No, I'm right there with you. I think we got it all.
Yeah.
Who do you think has been your 3 stars of this week?
I'm betting that we're gonna have 2 of the same.
Yeah, I'm almost certain of it.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say 1 is going to be Devin Levi. He's came up 941 save percentage, looks solid, and he's helped hold the team together. I think the other one is going to be Eric Robinson. He's kind of brought a little bit of some juice to the team since he's come aboard. If it's just him or if it's just the energy that he brings, I don't care. He's had a solid couple of games. I think he had 3 points last night, right?
Yeah, he had 3 points last night.
I mean, what the heck? And he also had, I think before the trade, people were talking about he had a hat trick against the Sabres. So, hey, maybe the Sabres are his like team.
He plays best against us and for us.
So I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
And then my other star is going to be Victor Olofsson. He's just been solid for the past 2 weeks. I mean, he still has a pretty good offense going on. I mean, he's not sticking out that much for playing bad defensively. So, I mean, he's not regressing at all, and he's kind of been pretty steady. So I'm going to give it to Victor Olofsson. So two of those guys, I never thought I would even say this season would have been stars for me at all.
All right. Well, I'm going to breeze past Devin Levi, the 9-4-2, 3 games, 5 of 6 points. Great. Awesome. Eric Robinson, he comes up, he reinvigorates the team. He honestly, if he doesn't get that boarding penalty, we probably win against Montreal too.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a tough exit from that game. He's a +4 with 3 points against Arizona. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Can't complain about his game. Cool. And then my 3rd star, I don't think he was the 3rd best player of the week. But Peyton Krebs looks reinvigorated since having Robinson on his line. He's playing with more speed. He's playing with more purpose. It feels like his passes are like he's got someone to pass to now. He's got someone to spring on these breakaways. He's got it just feels like he's come to life more. And I love to see that from him because he's someone I was worried about to start the season, but it looks like maybe he's finding his footing, and all it took was just a new body in the lineup. So I'm glad to see that.
No, I've kind of noticed that too. Ever since he sat out of the lineup for that one game afterwards, he's kind of been skating a little bit harder, a little bit faster too. And like you mentioned, adding Robinson's kind of added a little bit more to it. So yeah, for sure, I like that pick.
Yeah, I like the Olofsson pick, because he's going to make a decision for the Sabres very difficult. And I'm curious about your input on this, right? So we talked about it. The top 2 lines, you have Skinner, Thompson, Tuck, Benson, Peterka, Cousins. And then we'll say the bottom line is set as of right now at Okposo, Krebs, Robinson. And then the 3rd line of, we'll just for putting names down, Middlestat, then people are coming back, right? So it's currently Middlestat, I would say Middlestat, Quinn, and then you have to make a decision. You have Tyson Jost.
No, gone. Off the team.
Gjörgensson.
Like I said, I would like him just switching in and out with Okposo at that point. So
Jordan Greenway.
So it's Middlestat and who is in Quinn?
Middlestat, Quinn. I think Quinn's kind of a lock when he comes back.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I don't think that's one of the ones I don't think anyone's taking his spot.
No. You got to get that kid games. That's tough because I feel like Greenway and Olofsson, they have to have a lot more. They can't be going in and out of the lineups and expecting them to have a high level of play.
Right.
So they're both players that need to consistently be in the lineup to have a high level of play that they're both at. So that's tough. Do I want to have? So you have a goal scorer in Quinn, and you have and he's kind of like an all around player.
Yeah, he's very good defensively.
Yeah,
as
he's
it would
very
turn
good
out.
defensively too. So yeah, and then you have Middlestat,
He's kind of an all-arounder as well. Like, I think that this is gonna like it's shaping up to be a very theoretically, right? This is just to place people on like a roster in a way that's like comprehensible. But
I put Olsen in.
You put Olofsson in? We sit. By the way, also with this setup, right? You have to send down Comrie. Like, once people come back, you're making some tough decisions, right?
Comrie,
you send down Comrie, you send down Bryson.
You cut Yost.
You have to send down one of these forwards too, even like if you're running 14 forwards.
Yeah. No.
You still have to send one of, like, okay, so we'll say you're putting in Victor Olofsson. Now you have Jurgenssons, Greenway, and Jost. You have to cut one of them. You have to send one of those down. You have to make a trade. You have to figure something out. And I'm assuming your pick is Jost for that?
Yeah, I mean, Jost hasn't stuck it out to be anything. I mean, he, like I said, he's kind of like a drive killer. He's not really he's not good offensively. I mean, he doesn't stick out defensively either. So I don't know. He's kind of been the player that he's been, you know, a failure. I shouldn't say a failure, but like a bust of a first round pick who's just kind of been, you know, traveling around the NHL. Yeah. I mean, you're not, I don't think you're not losing anything when you lose Jost. If you were to lose Olofsson, you lose that scoring ability, which I think if you have him on the line with both Quinn and Middlestat, he's gonna have more opportunities to score and be like he was 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah. And also, like, defensively, he'll be sheltered enough where, like, you can keep him on the roster and, like, he'll be a power play asset. And you don't really have to worry about his 5-on-5 negative impacts. Although this year, like, since being benched, his defense has been solid. He like presses aggressively. He gets back. I really don't have complaints about the way that he's been playing, which is
not at all.
Kind of shocking, mentioning he hasn't been scoring recently.
No, but he's been solid, and I think we were both just asking for that at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, all we need is for you to be like solid, and then like obviously I think there's a confidence issue with his shooting. He's been deferring on the power play, and I'm like, your job's to shoot. You just shoot here. But like you figure that out a little bit, and all of a sudden you have a weapon who's also like not a minus in your own zone.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, totally. So I think the best will come out of those two, or Olofsson you would see the most coming out with the return of Quinn and then playing with Quinn and Middlestat as opposed to Greenway. I think Greenway is a good person to fill in on the fourth line.
Also, by the way, like if we can stay healthy and those like line combinations come together, we do have a stacked offense.
Yeah.
Like we haven't seen it this year. You end up with just crazy mismatches, right? If you're running Quinn and Middlestat and literally anyone else against the team's third line, like that's so hard for a team to defend all those lines. I think that it's a line like Peterka, Cousins, and Benson's always going to be streaky just due to like age, but it's like if you get those lines clicking, like that could be one of the craziest offenses in the league.
Exactly. And you can almost interchange if Quinn comes back up to speed, you just switch him up for Benson.
Yeah. And especially like if the fourth line can stay reliable.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the offense of the Buffalo Sabres, which has been largely disappointing for this year. But I see the light. I see the vision.
For sure. So
and I'm excited to see it come to fruition.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't trust the team right now. I'm cautiously optimistic though. So I still have the positive energy for them. I'm obviously a fan. I want the best for them, But they've hurt me a little this year so far. So
we're all a little better
Yeah,
and bruised.
exactly. So
it is what it is.
before I give them my love, I'm just going to be a little cautious. I'm like, show me first. Show me first that I can love you after this.
Exactly. So we've covered the weeks. What we have coming up is a road trip. We all love road trips.
Mhm.
We're going out west. First, we have the Colorado Avalanche, who we've beat once before. I think it was Hamilton was saying he expects Luukkonen to play during that game, which I wouldn't be upset about. He had a very good game against them last time. He got his first career shutout. So that's something that maybe we can look towards.
Yeah.
That's tomorrow. Then we go up against Vegas, and I'm not super excited about the prospect of watching that game. However, we have been giant killers this year and recently. We bookending our terrible 4-game streak. We beat the Rangers and the Bruins. So I don't know. Maybe there's something to that. Then we go to Arizona, the desert. We get to play against all 5,000 of their fans, or in front of all 5,000 of their fans. And hopefully we get another favorable result. And then we're back here for Columbus. And that is on Tuesday. So I guess we're doing another in-game stream as of right now. I'm not going to be at that game, so
I won't be either.
Yeah, that's kind of a trek for you, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, flying from Portland just to see the Sabres game would be pretty tough for me. So maybe when they're back here in Boston, I'll go see them. But those tickets are expensive. Holy crikes!
Yeah. But those are the upcoming 4 games that we have.
Yep.
Do you have anything that you're looking to see in this upcoming week?
So out of those 4 games, I want to see 5 points out of them. So you could beat Columbus and you could beat Arizona. I think
you just want to see us go positive. You want to see us 5 out of the 8 points. You want to see us stay above that positive threshold.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to Colorado, which is going to be a tough game, but I think you could take them to the overtime. Now, the Knights, I'm not sure. Like you said, they've been killers, but if they lose to the Knights, that's fine. That's the ringing NHL or Stanley champions. Yeah.
But the salty side of me is like, Eichel, I can't lose to Eichel. I know. Get over it. I need to get over it. But there's still that little like, I really hope they bring it to that team.
Yeah.
But
overall, they just need to keep bringing the energy that they've been bringing for the past 3 games. Just keep on bringing it.
Yeah.
Show consistency. That's the biggest thing.
For me, that's like what I want to see. I want to see us continue pouring on the shots in the offense and just playing a well-rounded game.
Yeah.
I think the word of the week is effort.
Yeah.
During this last week, we didn't get scored on twice in the first period. 1 time. We broke that streak. We were doing terribly in first periods up until this last week. And it's just we talked about it during the last podcast, I think. Come to the game prepared to play hockey.
Yeah.
We can't keep coming back in games. That can't be the motto of make up a deficit.
Mm-hmm.
And this last week, we didn't have to.
Yep.
I want to see us continue with that. And if we can, I think we'll find success. Show up with effort. And honestly, the rest will fall into place for you because we have enough skill.
Mm-hmm.
If the effort is there with that skill, we're golden.
That's true. I agree.
And also, I want to see Eric Robinson get a hat trick against Columbus, just as a full circle kind of thing. Those are my expectations for the week. Effort and an Eric Robinson hat trick.
A nice big middle finger to the Columbus Blue Jackets. So yeah I agree.
Well, I think that about does it for us. Do you have anything else?
Nope. That's it. I think my dog's wanting to go outside, so it's a good time to end the show.
Perfect. Thank you all for watching this week. Please remember to hit like, subscribe if you want to get more content from us. And we will see you next week during the Blue Jackets game. Thank you and goodbye.
Good night, everyone.